Vishnu Shakti, the potency of Lord Vishnu. Para, spiritual. Prokta, it is said. Kshetragya Akya, the potency known as Kshetragya. Tata, as well as. Para, spiritual. Avidya, ignorance. Karma, fruitive activities. Samgya, known as. Anya, other. Tritiya, third. Shakti, potency. Isyate, known thus. So we're going to launch into it. Please pay attention. It's a almost 2.5 page purport that most people can follow it on their little devices, so won't get lost. Highlight certain points. We'll talk about it later. The potency of Lord Vishnu is summarized in 3 categories, namely the spiritual potency, the living entities, and ignorance. The spiritual potency is full of knowledge. The living entities, although belonging to the spiritual potency, are subject to bewilderment. And the third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. In the previous verse quoted from Bhagavad Gita, it has been established that the living entities are to be categorized among the Lord's potencies. The Lord is potent, and there are varieties of potencies. Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva Shriyate. Now in this quotation from the Vishnu Purana, this is further confirmed. There are varieties of potencies, and they have been divided into 3 categories, namely spiritual, marginal, and external. The spiritual potency is manifested in the spiritual world. Lord's form, qualities, activities, and entourage are all spiritual. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Ajopi san avyayatma, bhutanam ishvaropi san, prakritim swam adistaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Bhagavad Gita 4:6. Atmamaya refers to the spiritual potency. When Krishna comes to this or any other universe, he does so with his spiritual potency. We take birth by the force of the material potency. But as stated here, with reference to the Vishnu Purana, the Kshetragya, or living entity, belongs to the spiritual potency. Thus, when we free ourselves from the clutches of the material potency, we can also enter the spiritual world. The material potency is the energy of darkness, or complete ignorance of spiritual activities. In the material potency, the living entity engages himself in fruitive activities, thinking that he can be happy through expansion in terms of material energy. This fact is prominently manifest in this age of Kali because human society, not understanding the spiritual nature, is busily expanding in material activities. The men of the present day are almost unaware of their spiritual identity. They think that they are products of the elements of the material world and that everything will end with the annihilation of the body. Therefore, they conclude that as long as one has a material body consisting of material senses, one should enjoy the senses as much as possible. Since they are atheists, they do not care whether there is a next life. Such activities are described in this verse as avidya kama samgyanya. This material energy is separated from the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, although it is originally created by the Supreme Lord, he is not actually present within it. The Lord also confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Matstani Sarvabhutani, everything is resting on me, Bhagavad Gita 9:4. This indicates that everything is resting on his own energy. For example, the planets are resting within outer space, which is the separated energy of Krishna. The Lord explains in Bhagavad Gita, Bhumya apanalo vayu kamano buddhi evacha ahankara itiyame bina prakritiya astada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated energies. Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, text 4. The separated energy acts as if it were independent. But here it is said that although such energies are certainly factual, they are not independent, but merely separated. The separated energy can be understood from a practical example. I compose books by speaking into a dictaphone, and when the dictaphone is replayed, it appears that I am speaking personally, but actually I'm not. I spoke personally, but then the dictaphone tape, which is separate from me, acts exactly like me. Similarly, the material energy originally emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it acts separately. Although the energy is supplied by the Lord, this is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. Bhagavad Gita 9, text 10. Under the guidance or superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the material energy works as if independent, although it is not actually independent. In this verse from the Vishnu Purana, halfway there, the total energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is classified in 3 divisions, namely the spiritual or internal potency of the Lord, the marginal potency or kshetragya, the living entity, and the material potency, which is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and appears to act independently. When Srila Vyasadeva, by meditation and self-realization, saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he also saw the separated energy of the Lord standing behind him. Apasyat purusham purnam mayam cha tad apashrayam. Vyasadeva also realized that it is this separated energy of the Lord, the material energy, that covers the knowledge of the living entities. Yaya samohito jivo atmanam trigunatmakam. The separated material energy bewilders the living entities, jivas, and thus they work very hard under its influence, not knowing that they are not fulfilling their mission in life. Unfortunately, most of them think that they are the body and should therefore enjoy the material senses irresponsibly, since when death comes, everything will be finished. This atheistic philosophy also flourished in India, where it was sometimes propagated by Charvaka Muni, who said, Rinam kritva gritam pibet, yavaj jivet sukham jivet, basmi bhutasya dehasya krutaha, purna agamano bhavet. His theory was that as long as one lives, one should eat as much ghee as possible. In India, ghee, clarified butter, is a basic ingredient in preparing many activities of foodstuffs. Since everyone wants to enjoy nice food, Charvaka Muni advised that one eat as much ghee as possible. One may say, I have no money, how shall I purchase ghee? Charvaka Muni, however, says, if you have no money, then beg, borrow or steal, but in some way secure ghee and enjoy life. For one who further objects that he will be held accountable for such unauthorized activities as begging, borrowing and stealing, Charvaka Muni replies, you will not be held responsible. As soon as your body is burned to ashes after death, everything is finished. This is called ignorance. From Bhagavad Gita, it is understood that one does not die with the annihilation of his body. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. The annihilation of one body involves changing to another. Tata dehantara praptihi. Therefore, to perform irresponsible activities in the material world is very dangerous. Without knowledge of the spirit soul and its transmigration, people are allured by the material energy to engage in many such activities, as if one can become happy simply by dint of material knowledge without reference to spiritual existence. Therefore, the entire material world and its activities are referred to as avidya kama samgyanya. In order to dissipate the ignorance of the human beings who work under the material energy which is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord comes down to revive their original nature of spiritual activities. Yada yada hi dhamasya glanir bhavati bharata. As soon as they deviate from their original nature, the Lord comes to teach them. Sarvadamam pritya gya mam ekam sharanam vraja. My dear living entities, give up all material activities and simply surrender unto me for protection. Bhagavad Gita 18:66. It is the statement of Charvaka Muni that one should beg, borrow or steal money to purchase ghee and enjoy life. Rinam kritva ghritam pibet. Thus even the greatest atheist of India recommends that one eat ghee, not meat. No one could conceive of human beings eating meat like tigers and dogs. But men have become so degraded that they are just like animals and can no longer claim to have a human civilization. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master, he forced my eyes open with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Caitanya Caritamrita. This text, this book, which we are reading, describes Caitanya. Caitanya means living entity, life, describes life. And Charita means character. So the character of one who is living their life in full, one who's fulfilling the mission of life. So by studying this book, Caitanya Caritamrita, we can learn to exist as whole beings, not living a sham, not living an artificial life cloaked in darkness. That darkness was very clearly pinpointed in this purport as a quality of the material energy, the external energy. The external energy. And we were distinctly referred to, living entities, as kshetragya, and of the different potencies of the Supreme, that kshetragya was classified as marginal potency. Marginal potency means on the edge. It means if you jump over there, you're on the floor. If you jump over this way, you're on the table. So you can choose. Do you want to stay in contact with the spiritual energy, the internal potency, the superior energy, or do you want to wallow in the material energy? It's like, do you want to sit on the fence? Do you want to sit on the fence? But even sitting on the fence is a position between both the spiritual energy and the material energy. You're in touch with both. The marginal energy is in touch. When we're not independent. Prabhupada talks in the purport there about the nature of the material energy is that it is the spiritual energy, but it's the separated energy. And the example he gives is of the dictaphone. Prabhupada would speak into the dictaphone this knowledge, and then the transcriber of the tapes would hear Prabhupada again through the dictaphone, but the energy, and it appears as Prabhupada speaking, just like we hear classes, it's that personality speaking, but the energy came from them. They're separate from that. So that's the material energy, separate but not independent, separated. So when we are under the grips of the material energy, what's that material energy? What's that gripping power of the material energy called? Yes, got another name. Yes. What do those two terms refer to? Energy of? Sorry.
Energy of the field.
Energy of the field. Yeah. But personality possesses that energy or wields that potency. Durga, Maya. Yeah. As Caritamrita pointed out, the different aspects of that covering potency and holding down potency, keeping us in darkness. So, a student once approached his teacher and said, "Can you tell me about this Maya potency? Tell me about this covering potency." The spiritual master said, "Okay, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you." So next morning the student approached the ashram of the teacher, and he discovered his teacher embracing a tree. And as he came closer, he heard his teacher saying, "Let me go, let me go." And so he came closer to his teacher and said, "Guruji, you can let go. The tree's not holding you." And then the teacher said, "You asked me to give you a lesson about the material potency, the covering potency." So, same way, the external energy, the Maya potency, the covering potency, is not holding on to us. We are holding on to it. So, in order to become free from that external illusory potency, the concept that we are the supreme, that we are independent, we can enjoy. The goal of life is to get as much ghee as possible. So to become free from those clutches, the clutches of Maya. There's another song, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jiv Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole, Kota Nidra Jao Maya, Pisachira Kole. So Maya is described to be like a witch. And she's summoning you. Come to me, come and enjoy. Here, put your head on my lap and I'll cut your throat. So to become free from the clutches, the victimization of that personality, of that energy, then we just have to let go. We have to let go, but she won't let us go. The two potencies that Caritamrita Prabhu, Prapeshatmika and Prakshatmika and Avaranatmika. Two potencies. There's so many potencies, but the potencies are then related back to a personality. So Maya, she possesses these two potencies. Which one's which?
Avaranatmika is the covering potency, Prakshatmika is the cooling down.
Okay. So which one comes first? Avaranatmika. Covering potency. So our vision, our awareness, we get blocked. We can't see. Right in front of us, but we can't see. The lights go off. Dark. I was driving at night time to New Govardhana along the back roads. So it was empty. So it was dark. So I switched off my lights just to experience how dark it was, and it was pitch black. It was freaky and frightening. When one can't see, then it's frightening. Dave Swami, he writes that there's an example that sometimes we're driving along and the windscreen's covered with mud, so we can't see. It's dangerous. So we're often in that situation where we're just travelling blind, we're in complete ignorance, and it's frightening. So somebody who recognises that, then they'll get out and they'll clean the windscreen. They'll switch on the lights. They'll try and get some light. But if you don't recognise that, then that's you've been thrown into darkness. Then the next potency is just the holding down potency. The holding down potency, that you're already in darkness and you just need to, there's not much needed to hold you down. So the first covering is that this material body is me. I am this body. I'm this body, I'm this mind, this is me. And then the extension of that, the holding down potency is, and everything in connection with me I can enjoy. and I expand myself by enjoying. It's called extended self or sense gratification. We expand through our family, our friends, our country, our community. We expand. That's expanded selfishness. And that keeps us all locked up. There's so many topics to hear. Sense gratificatory tidings. We're always, there's good quality ghee available up at the Hare Krishna farm. It's a himsa. It's made from these wonderful cows. When you become a connoisseur of good ghee, beg, borrow, or steal, get ghee. Jamuna, in her cookbook, she writes about ghee, and she highlights ghee in a recipe about halva. I keep referring back to halva because I thought I was a halva addict, but then I realised it was wheat, not necessarily the ghee, because I couldn't get good ghee. There wasn't so much good ghee, but good ghee. And Jamuna says halva is an excuse to eat ghee. We used to prepare nice halva in the olden days. Nowadays it's not so popular because the health food halva has come in, where it's just a smidgen of ghee, and it's light, not so hard to digest. But the really good halva is where there's a layer of yellow sauce on the top, and you're eating, people say, can you give me some more of that lovely sauce? It's just pure butter, pure ghee. So my partner and I, we had lots of halva. In one week of travelling Sankirtan, we asked each other, what do we want to eat? What's going to be the main meal we're going to have? So we said, okay, we want halva, and we might just cut it with a little bit of porridge every second day, or a little bit of khichdi. But basically, two of us, we cooked up about 1.5 kilograms of halva every day. Puri was with us. He was a real prasadam enthusiast. And we would have a decent served breakfast, hot. It's got to be hot. I made the mistake of eating a large amount of cold ghee, and I crashed my car. 2 hours later, I fell asleep at the wheel. So hot ghee. In fact, if you want to commit suicide, drink a certain quantity of ghee. Subhuti Roy, he was tormented. He was a Hindu, and a Muslim sprinkled water from his water pot on him, and so by tradition he was contaminated. He was supposed to become like a Muslim. So he went around and consulted everybody. What should I do? It's disaster. So one person recommended he should drink a litre of ghee, and that would finish him off. But eventually he went and consulted the devotees. I think he consulted Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya said, no, just chant Hare Krishna. You become free from that contamination. So anyway, we had this plan. We had a good amount of ghee every day. When the partner, he would calculate, Prabhu, we just ate 300 grams of butter and 200 grams of sugar, like that. And once my wife and I were travelling, and we calculated in a month we ate 4 kilograms of butter, ghee. And I think we also put some olive oil in there as well. When we came back from that travelling week with the partner, where we had the halva, we'd have the halva in the morning. We'd take a thermos of hot halva out with us, and that was just as a backup when we needed a little bit of recharging of our batteries, a little bit of enthusiasm. But often, rather than less often, we would surrender to the halva at about 11 o'clock in the morning. Puri, who was the instigator of the whole thing, he would often come back. He was more self-controlled. He would come back with his full thermos of halwa. And then he would give it to us, and we would consume that in the evening. So when we got back to the temple at the end of the week, Korma met us at the gate. And he saw my partner and he said, "What's happened to you? You've been on drugs or something?" His eyes were hanging out of his head, these big bags. And I said, "We've just been eating ghee." So it was very satisfying. It was very nice, but couldn't do that too often. So they give us some extra sauce from the top of the halwa. That was a popular saying, and it was very attractive. And Prabhupada, he said that in Australia, the population would be conquered by good prasadam and kirtan. So the restaurants became very popular because people were not so much interested in philosophy, so much discussing philosophy. They had more of a taste for meat. He gave a program and the town hall, and he asked for questions, and everybody sat there dull. So he turned to his servant on the side and whispered, "Meatheads." So it's preference, it's a step up. Different qualities of ghee. It's like wine, fine wine, connoisseurs of wine. Their noses are insured for millions of dollars because it's a fine sensitivity to be able to discern what's better and what's not. Most alcohol is that rot gut, just brewed up full of chemicals. What's the Italians make a grappa or grappa? Yeah. So you take that and you get a headache, you get a hangover, you destroy your liver. Whereas the more refined quality, they're considered almost celestial. The demigods, they have a liquor which is known as somaras. And somaras, one of our teachers in Mayapur, he found a book on somaras and described which planet you can get it from, which ingredients you make it from, and what are the benefits of it. There are acupuncture meridians through the body. Even more subtle than that in Ayurveda are the nadis, and I think 72,000 channels. So when you take somarasa, it can lead to longevity and better quality of life. It illuminates all of those nadis. You take and you feel light. The effect of it is it's enlightening rather than putting you in darkness. So better quality food products, they're more refined, they're more quality, they're more subtle, they're more uplifting. Whereas people who they think they're getting butter, but they're buying that spreadable stuff, which is aerated. If it's good, then it's aerated oil. If it's bad, it used to be coal oil. Margarine was created from coal just to give this thing to smearing on your bread. So and the scientists, they've discovered that they can transform stool into edible foodstuff. So, and when they did that with the cow feed in England, that mad cow's disease, they were grinding up old cows and they were feeding it back to the cows, and then the consequences of that was that people started going mad. They started getting all these mad cow's diseases. So quality medicine, quality food, quality life, quality thoughts, quality understanding is what makes one more full and capable of avoiding that covering potency. So Maya, let go. Let go of that potency. Let go. So in order to let go, we have to get a higher taste. Visaya vinivatante nirha rasya denha raso vajam raso piyasya param drishtva nivatate. Does anyone know the translation? The translation? The embodied soul may be restricted from sense gratification, but the taste remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, one can remain fixed in consciousness. We get a taste, and that taste sustains us. We chase after that taste. Oh, that's the best thing in life. But then if somebody gives us a higher taste, then we'll put that aside. Just like if we're offered some high-class edibles, our stale piece of toast will look distasteful. We'll leave it aside. So the attraction, the allurement, the clutches of material energies, we've just been beaten till we accept that, and we've embraced that. We've valued that. But as soon as somebody offers a higher taste, then we can turn our backs on that and we can give it up. So the material energy, the proposals of the material energy, that this is me, this is who I am, this is life. If I just gratify my senses and satisfy the whims of my mind and my heart, then that will make me happy. And I am happy when I'm feeling good in those circumstances. But then when a superior energy, a superior idea, a superior system, a superior comes into our lives, and we can feel and see and experience how that works, then we'll adopt that. Then we'll take shelter of that. The superior potency, the superior energy becomes more tangible. At the moment it's vague, because spirit is spirit. It's ephemeral. It's not. You can't grab it with your senses. You can't. But it's there. It's subtle. You have to tune into it. You have to become aware of it, and then slowly you can see its form. You can see the way it works. We did a Reiki course, and one of the things of Reiki is that you can do external, from a distance healing. So in order to do that, you have to visualize the form of the person who's going to receive the Reiki. So that just put me into another awareness that, the subtle. We see the form. We see that your father is there, and suddenly your father dies, and then you start lamenting. My father's not there, but here is who you've been relating to all your life. Why is he not there? Because he was more subtle than that. He was the soul. He was not the body. The body is there's something more subtle. So to become more sensitive and to be able to relate to that, so that takes time, takes practice, takes purification, takes higher taste. So the higher taste is what's coming from Lord Caitanya. He recommends chanting Hare Krishna in the association of devotees. And that will enable us to give up the lower taste and to become fixed in this understanding. It's interesting, this Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of philosophy, because along with the pastimes, we have to understand how we can adopt this understanding and then relay it to other people. Our experience, in order to affect and to help everybody, needs to be packaged. It needs to be packaged in such a way that it will be tasty and digestible. If not, then we're just a little frog in our well out on the side somewhere. We're not having much influence, not much impact. So it's outlaid very clearly. The Vedas have given elaborate descriptions of the nature, reality, and when you see within the contortions of different philosophies, you can see these elements, but they've been misconstrued, they've been hijacked, they've been used for the wrong purposes. The basic misconception is that we're spiritual, we're subtle, and we are non-different from God. In fact, we are God. So that subtle misunderstanding needs to be unravelled. We're as good as God in quality, but different in quantity. Nitya nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam ya vidadati kama. We are eternal. God is the supreme eternal amongst all eternal beings. So we're eternal, but we're not the supreme. Because He is maintaining, He's the one eternal who is maintaining all the other eternals. We can't even look after ourselves. We can't even control anything. Whereas God is controlling everything and supplying everything for everybody. So if to have that mistaken understanding that I am the Supreme, I'm not different from the Supreme, I am the complete whole, is the illusion, the covering, and it's said to be the last snare of Maya. Even we're starting to become self-realized, we're starting to grapple with those things, and still the last snare of Maya is that no, we are the Supreme. We're God. We are independent. We are the separated energies. We're not independent. Never independent. Always dependent. Always servant of the servant of the servant. 1,000 times removed. Servant of the Supreme. So, Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila. And this is an elaboration on the original understanding of the Vedanta Sutra. So this is all technical and hard to break up and decipher. The original Vedanta sutras are even more short and succinct and compact. So we've just hopefully unwrapped a little bit and made it tangible. Let go of that illusory concept and hold tight onto the truth of devotees, devotional service, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Padmalochan, anything you caught in the last second? Tell us something.
Your comment at the end was really nice. Your comment at the end was really nice when you're just saying, like turning back from the illusionary and again clinging tight to the devotees and Krishna. So that's the main thing.
Yeah. How do you do it?
How do you do it? Associate with the devotees.
Chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah. The illusionary energy is so strong, it only takes a few moments. You can leave the association of devotees and you're swept away. I was listening to a class recently and they were mentioning how the devotees are like the glue in the devotees' life. But most devotees don't even a lot of devotees don't even realise that. And if they leave that association, everything starts to fall apart. So everything we are is due to the devotees around us. So important.
Thank you.
Devotees ki jai.
Sadhu Sangha ki jai. Hang on, you got to speak in the microphone.
Yeah, just want to change it on.
Up. Push the button up. All the way up.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to expand on what Prabhu just said. Actually, I read recently that the devotees, they're more worshipful than the sastras, than any tirtha that you go to in pilgrimage, and also they're more worshipful than who's the other one? Oh, Arjuna Vigraha. Actually, yeah, these three things are actually quite important to our devotional life. But actually, serving the devotee is even more important because the devotee, they're actually they're living these elements of emotional service. They're like, by associating with devotees, you can experience all these things through their consciousness, through their understanding of sastra.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's lovely. You reminded me of the verse Narada Muni, Na tishtami vaikunte. Krishna tells Narada Muni that I am not in the temple. I'm not in the hearts of the yogis who are meditating. I'm not in Vaikuntha. This is Krishna speaking. God, I'm not there. Where am I? I'm in the hearts of my devotees when they're discussing topics about me. So worshipping devotees, and the way to worship devotees, as you said, to hear about them, their realization, from them, about their realizations, about Shastra. Because in that exchange, Krishna is existing.
Yeah, present, yeah.
So that's the worship of devotees, the service of devotees, to try and make them comfortable. And that's the secret of getting the mercy of the spiritual master. Inquire from them submissively and render service to them. So you inquire submissively, you ask a significant question, and then you display your commitment to that instruction by trying to fulfill it.
Yeah. And also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that we should preach to the devotees foremost. He's more pleased with that than preaching to the atheists, the non-believers.
That's one who discusses, or one who gives the knowledge of the Gita, then he's most dear to me. Yeah. Yeah, we've got just back in here. Scratch under the surface. We have the association of devotees, we see them, and we don't appreciate, just scratch a little bit under the surface. Prabhu, what's your realization? Where did you come from? What did you just read?
Actually, this is what I just read yesterday. Reading the good marriage from the system of Madhya Chapter 8. We discussed between Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Ananda Roy. At the end of that, Caitanya Mahaprabhu poses a series of questions, and one of them is, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Sri Ananda Roy replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable unhappiness.
Yeah.
Apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable unhappiness.
And to the contrary of that, if one is not in the association of devotees, but if one is in the association of non-devotees, it would be better to be in a cage full of snakes or surrounded by fire than to be in the association of non-devotees. It's so dangerous.
And he asked another question. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all auspicious and beneficial activities, which is best for the living entity? Brahmana Roy replied, the only auspicious activity is association with the devotee of Krishna.
Wow. Sadhu Sangha, Sada Shastri Hoy, Sadhu Sangha, Labha Matra, say Siddhi Hoy. In one moment, it's considered to be 1,000th of a second. Association with a devotee can liberate one. So devotee means engaged in thinking about, remembering, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you get that association. And even people they don't know you're a devotee, or you're not displaying yourself as a devotee, but they see the neck beads and they say, you're a Hare Krishna. Bing, the lights go on. There was a person on the beach in Poland, a young man, and he was harassing the kirtan party. He was yelling and screaming and really giving them a hard time. And he threw a punch at a devotee. So the security devotees, they came and they grappled with him and held him down on the ground, and his face was in the sand. And he started saying, Hare Krishna, let me up. And the leader of the party said, no. And so they held him down tighter, and he went, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama too, also, let me up. And then they said, okay, let him go. And so they questioned, the security men questioned the leader, how come you told us to hold him down? And he said, well, he was chanting Hare Krishna. I just wanted to try and extend it as much as possible, give him as much mercy as possible. So to give people that opportunity and to take that opportunity, it's just liberating, uplifting. And Krishna's present there. Just a second. We'll just get the microphone there. I'm a bit hard of hearing and people outside.
Hello.
Yeah.
If you can say again, what is devotee? What is devotion? You say it's quality
devotee, devotion, love for the Supreme, love for God. God is the object of our love. God is the object of our attention. Everything is God's energy, so we love nature, we love people, we love life. When we understand what is the source of that life and we can direct our energy towards that, then the reciprocation that comes back becomes much more complete. If we try and love something separate, we try and love some food by rubbing it in our hand, we won't get sustained. But if we take that food, we offer it to Krishna and we put it into our mouth, then it goes down into our stomach and it gets digested and then it gets spread and nourishes the whole body and the mind. So we need to know where to repose that love. And when we repose that love in the Supreme, Krishna is known as Akhilatma Rasamrita Murti. He's capable of reciprocating with all the living entities. He's the only one capable of reciprocating with our offering of love. We give love and sometimes we get disheartened. We get a broken heart because they don't know how to reciprocate. So therefore we hold back our love and we become attached to, well, I'm just going to look after myself. But once you understand that that love, which is real, can be offered to the Supreme and the reciprocation will nourish and fulfill us, then that's what a devotee does. That's what keeps them going. They thrive on it. They don't want anything in return. They don't want anything back. They just want to be able to offer more service to God. So that's the quality of the exchange of love. Devotee, we said devotee is an English word. The Sanskrit word is bhakta. Bhakta. So bhakta is involved in bhakti. Bhakti means devotional service. Bhakta, bhakti, and bhakta. Bhakta is the enjoyer. So we offer that love, that service, to the Supreme Enjoyer. And as a natural consequence, then we also enjoy. If we try and enjoy separately, try and rub the food into the hand, then we don't get satisfied.